Fantastic. Good morning, everybody. Well, my name's Simon. Good morning. And I'm delighted to welcome everyone listening, whether live or later on Facebook, on our website for the last time, as this is the final Newsbite. How exciting is that? We timed this final edition to go out just before the fun day, but even though that's been postponed due to the pandemic, we think that the Newsbite has run its course and that it's time for new initiatives. So watch out for those. Before I continue, I'm inviting our wonderful producer and IT director to chip in now. Are we all good to continue, Olive?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, thank you. As it's the last one, by the way, I'm dispensing with the usual brief housekeeping message, as it's very boring, and I could never say anonymity without a struggle. But if anyone wants to say anything in the chat, we'll be delighted to hear from you. Before I continue, I just want a quick message to the English football fans out there. Apparently, we won a game yesterday, so well done, England, and bring on, is it the Ukraine in Rome on Saturday or Sunday? Brilliant news. I have to say, rather overshadowed another fantastic performance by an English sportsman yesterday, which hasn't got the credit and news it deserves, which is by Mark Cavendish in the Tour de France. After a long delay and a gap of performance, he won a stage yesterday with his 31st stage. He's now only 3 short of Eddie Merckx's all-time record, and what a fantastic performance. So bring on Mark Cavendish in the Tour de France, which is, of course, much more exciting than football, but I suspect I'm in a bit of a minority on that point. So we have another full and interesting programme for our last one, and I'm going to begin with an update on the sort of health world. And we've got the wonderful Sarah and the wonderful Liz both on today, vying for first position, but apparently neither of them really mind whether they go first or not. So I think I'm going to go to Harpenden first, if I may. So good morning, Sarah.
Good morning. Good morning. How is everyone?
Well, I'm sure we're all wonderful. How's lovely Harpenden? And I bet you're going to look out the window now, aren't you, as you normally do? Please do.
Oh dear, it's a little bit whitewash. Really bit cloudy today.
It's sunny here in Redbourn. We're begging for rain here in Redbourn.
It hasn't reached us yet. It hasn't reached. It was drizzly, and now it's dried up at least. So we'll be great. It's going to be great soon.
Yeah. Well, it's great of you to come on for the last one ever.
That's very sad, but really happy to be here again. But yeah, what a sad thing. I think this has been lovely, absolutely delightful. So just well, it's the last day of June today, and summer holidays are about to be upon us. I'm confident that we will get some hot weather. I think it's just around the corner. I've looked at the forecast, and I think July gets off to a slow start but picks up. So I did mention it last week, so my only mention would be on these very hot days that are coming, remember to keep hydrated, at least 2 litres a day, or the imperial words, 3.5 pints. So, good on you. So please keep hydrated, because it does prevent infections, headaches, dizziness, constipation, confusion, and general poor health. So really good for your health to keep that going. As you know, we are now vaccinating our over 18s. So to get this generation infused and in for the jab, we're texting saying that if they want to go on holiday, many countries are now requesting evidence of the COVID vaccination status. Basically, we're here to help. So it's easy. Just go on to nhs.uk and you can book at the public halls. So we really want to get this age group in and vaccinated. Just, I don't know what Liz is going to say, but I hope I'm not pipping her at the post. But this Monday, the 5th of July, is the first NHS Social Care and Frontline Workers Day. It was the day, as you may already know, of the NHS was born, bringing free healthcare to everyone. There's lots of events happening, street parties, ringing church bells, and most of all raising money for the NHS charities, in the same way as, of course, the inspirational and modest Captain Sir Tom Moore. His sad passing in February will be marked along with all our heroes of the NHS and frontline services in a 2-minute silence on Monday at 11 o'clock. A couple of our GPs and nurses will be attending the Harpenden memorial site for prayers and the last post. And we'll be raising our own flag, putting up bunting in the surgery, rainbow cakes, tea. I'm coming in to make cups of tea for everyone, bric-a-brac stall, etc. And little surprises for the staff. and you can find more information on that on nhsfrontlineday.org. And all further information, as you say, on our website, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And once again, big thank you to all. I'm really going to miss this. It makes my Wednesday mornings, and I hope we do something going forward in some format. It'd be great to do something. But thank you to the Hickmots, Simon, Chris, and everyone involved, because I think it's been absolutely fantastic, and big congratulations to you for keeping this running. Well done.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Sarah, without being the least bit self-indulgent, as it's the last one ever, can you just remind us all about the medical benefits of listening to Dark Side of the Moon?
The medical benefits are pure relaxation.
Yeah.
It's extremely good for the health and mental health, particularly hot bath, maybe some lavender oil and your headphones or whatever you've got nearby. You can't do better than that. A daily dose would be recommended.
Daily dose. Sarah, I'm loving it. There we go. You're hearing this, everybody, from a health professional. It's not from me. Dark Side of the Moon every day. Sarah, thank you so much. It's been lovely to have you on the show all these months. We hope to see you again one day. I'm sure we will.
Fantastic. Bless you all. Take care, everyone.
Goodbye, Harpenden. Okay, Liz.
Cheers, Liz. Bye.
Morning, Liz.
Hi.
Over to you, Liz. Good morning.
Hi there. Hello to everybody. I actually thought Dark Side of the Moon was 3 times a day, but
I love it.
Got the dose wrong there, but there we go. So just from the Redbourn practice and St Albans, we're really, really busy at the surgery at the moment. We have been a bit hit with staff having to isolate as the cases are on the rise again, unfortunately. So we have got some staff shortages due to isolation. The demand is really high for all the services, and we are having to remain quite vigilant in the surgery because, as I say, cases are on the rise, and we have got vulnerable patients in the surgery. So please, can I ask, if you're attending the surgery, that you do follow the advice of having to, wearing a mask, socially distancing, and only coming on your own rather than with sort of the whole family. Unfortunately, we have had a few patients recently that have been behaving really quite badly in the practice in Redbourn, which is a real shame, and our receptionists have received quite a bit of abuse, which I'm really, very sort of upset about. So we are all working our best, and we are trying to help people. I understand that people are frustrated out there, with what's going on in the world, but the receptionists aren't the people to take it out on. So I'm sorry to have to say that, but it has got to a level where I really don't want to tolerate it anymore. So they are humans, and it does affect them. So if you could help me with spreading the word that, we don't want that in the surgery, that would be much appreciated. The vaccines, we are, as Sarah said, we're doing the over 18s. It's all going very well. Lots of people are having their second doses as well. I'm not sure if you are aware, but Batchwood is closing on the 31st of July. So post 31st of July, the provision will be for vaccines that, if people still need to have second doses, etc., will be provided by the CCG, and we're yet to know what they're going to provide. We don't have the information on that yet, but as soon as I know, we'll be publishing that on the surgery website. So if you are expecting your second and you get your invite, then please, click on the link and book your appointment, because don't think, I'll wait until August or September, because it might be a bit harder to get an appointment near. I think the Harpenden halls is carrying on, so that they are open throughout the summer, but the St Albans practices, we've decided that Batchwood needs to close on the 31st of July. As Sarah said, the 5th of July is the NHS celebratory day. I was going to say a bit about that, but I think she's filled you in on that, which is great. But there is something called the NHS Big Tea, which is at 3 o'clock, we are going to sort of stop for a few minutes and have a cup of tea and a piece of cake to celebrate the NHS Big T. So we've got some bunting up as well and things like that, so which will be good. And then just a sort of a notice for the future, on the 13th of July, the surgery is closed in the afternoon. We've got a training afternoon. So if anybody needs medical care, it's to dial 111 on that afternoon, and the heart surgeon care will be providing cover for us while we've got that training afternoon. And that's all I had. But thank you very much for inviting us to participate in this. It's been really good to engage with everybody, and like Sarah said, I've really enjoyed being part of it. So I hope that there will be something in the future for us to participate in as well. So thank you.
Thank you so much as well, Liz. It's been great, as I said with Sarah, for you to join in all these weeks. So it's really kind of you. Thank you, and keep up the good work and the brilliant work. And I'm sorry to hear about the news about the problems that the receptionists are suffering. It's not.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, it's a minority as always, but it is. It has become a little bit more frequent than I would expect, and it's just unpleasant, really. So it's not what we want.
Okay, well, listen, everybody should send out positive waves to the world. Everybody should be nice to everybody, in my view.
Yeah.
So there we go. Sarah, Liz, thank you so much for your wonderful help.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye.
Guys, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Now, I've often said that we're not the BBC, and we may be about to demonstrate that live, but if we can get the technology working, Olive, I think we now have a video clip from Stuart Dyer from the Methodist Church. I'll be very, very happy if this works. Bear with us, everybody.
It's going to work.
It's going to work. That's Stuart looking. Here we go.
Well, hello everybody. It's great to be with you. Reverend Stuart here. I'm away on my holidays, but I'm very grateful that Simon asked me to just record this for you while I'm away. Thinking about looking back over the COVID restrictions and hopefully coming out of those sometime soon, one thing that sort of occurs to me is that the word that we've heard a lot all throughout the pandemic has been this word significant. Will this be a significant change in the way we live our lives? Will this be a significant change in the way we view the environment? All those sorts of things. At every turn there's been that word used. Well, I think this is a significant moment in our culture and our society. I think my reflection initially is that it's a much overused word, I think, because it remains to be seen whether these things are significant. Of course, if we all go back to the way we were before, then I would say it probably wasn't a significant change. At least it was a change, but it didn't last very long, so it wasn't very significant. So I've been thinking instead about what are the things that have endured, what has gone on happening, and what looks like it's going to carry on happening into the future. Not really very exciting in the sense of anything new and whizzy, but I mean, here we are, and your show is a prime example of that sense of community is something that has endured. It certainly flourished, I think, during the pandemic, but it's also endured and seems to be enduring. Acts of selfless giving on the part of many, many people, that has endured and carried on. I know it goes on anyway, but it carried on during the pandemic. And from our point of view in the Methodist Church, worship carried on. It endured the difficulties of adapting to online and things like that. So I guess those are my reflections for the past, and looking forward, whether those things are significant will depend on whether we carry on with those things, whether we carry on looking to that sense of community, whether we really do carry on looking for acts of selfless giving, and whether we carry on in the different ways of worship. But I think the other thing that I'm most conscious of is that we actually take some of these things forward and, dare I say it without getting too political, put them into political action in the future. For example, I was very struck that we were all very taken up with standing out on our doorsteps and applauding the National Health Service, and have realised how important they are to all of us. Is that significant? Well, that will depend, I think, on what happens in the next election. Will we vote for those members of Parliament who will promise to support and encourage and enrich our National Health Service? So a mixture for me, those really positive things which are enduring and going on, and those things which we wait to see whether they are significant or not. But I hope to see you all again soon when I get back from holiday, and thanks for having me on. This is Rev Stu signing out from somewhere. Well, I'm in Harpenden at the moment, but I'll be somewhere else very soon. God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye.
What a lovely message from Stuart there. And by the way, for those of you that don't know, yes, he is on holiday, but he's also being ordained, I think is the right term. Will may know more about that than me, but so good luck to Stuart. I don't really know what's involved in that, but good luck to him. Neat cue and perfect segue into the wonderful Will. Good morning, Will.
Good morning, Simon. Hi, how are you?
I'm exceptional.
Good.
How are you today?
Yeah, really well, thank you.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I just thought I'd say a very quick word on the. I'm feeling a little bit self-indulgent this week because it's the last one, but I'm off to the Oval tomorrow to see the England play Sri Lanka, so weather permitting. So although I prefer Test cricket, it should be nice to go at least and see some international cricket.
Absolutely, and they're playing very well at the moment in the shorter formats. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, whitewashed the T20 3-0 and won yesterday. I think our batsmen were in a hurry to try and finish in time to watch the football.
Oh. Very good. Okay, Will, it's the last one. Will, have you had any thoughts on what you'd like to say to us on this last ever Newsbite?
Yeah. Well, here we are, the last ever community call. So I wanted to start by saying thank you for including me and inviting me to offer a thought each week. I haven't always been able to available, but it has been the greatest pleasure to take part in when I can. I think this is my 41st and final thought for the week.
Wow.
I've enjoyed the variety of different people taking part and some very interesting contributions from your guests. So thanks to Active in Redbourn, and especially to you, Simon, for being such a wonderful, relaxed and encouraging host. I guess we've all been thinking quite a bit, spending a bit of time reflecting on the things we've done and not been able to do, what it's felt like, and then wondering what comes next. I think the first and obvious thing to say is that 18 months ago, we really didn't know all of this was going to happen. Christmas 2019 was celebrated with great joy and innocence and happiness for most of us, and without the slightest sense of what was just around the corner. As a family, we went to New York for a few days in February half term. And then just a matter of weeks later, that would have been absolutely inconceivable to be going to a city that bore a very heavy price in the early part of the outbreak of COVID in the US. Back at home, as we entered the first lockdown and the whole of our country retreated into our homes, there was something very eerie and frightening about it all. It felt slightly apocalyptic even. And then over the next 16 months or so, we've been through more ins and outs than the hokey cokey. Stay at home, go to work, work at home, meet friends, don't meet friends, meet friends but only outside, you know, the sort of thing. We've waited for the next set of government guidance with anticipation and dread. And my sense is that in this community, people have generally done the right things that have been asked of us. I'm grateful for that. There has been a sense of collective responsibility and a duty of care to others in our community. And we have been reminded why, much as we like our own privacy and space at times, why we are better together in community than each of us living separate lives in isolation. In all that we've been through, I can't think of anywhere else in the world I would rather have been than in Redbourn to go through it. And that's a wonderful thing to be able to say. And I know that others, and many others, feel the same. So what have we learned about ourselves and each other? What are the lockdown lessons to take away? Well, at this point, it is de rigueur to offer an acronym, various letters that spell out a word, and then everyone goes, well, that was quite good, or not. And the trouble is that in my experience, and maybe I'm just not very good at them, the trouble is that often the speaker or the writer is so busy trying to find words that start with the right letter in order to make the acronym that the various points they are making all get a bit stretched or lost. We've all seen that. It's very David Brent from The Office, if you know what I mean. So I won't offer an acronym, just 3 words, 3 headings amongst many things I could say. And these 3 words are connected, outside, and empathy. So first, connected. We've realized how connected we are to each other in the world today. The virus has been a global issue because we travel and we trade. And so it has spread, and we're highly dependent on each other, more than perhaps we choose to properly acknowledge. And we're connected to the internet and technology. Never have we been more aware of what is happening to our brothers and sisters in other continents and countries. And we've tried to stay connected. We've Zoomed a lot, not 2 meters apart, but less than a meter away from our screen. And yet a million miles away from the hug and a kiss we'd really like. We are connected. And what happens in the pandemic and to the vaccination program in far off countries matters to us as it does to them. Nobody will be safe until we are all safe. It reminds us that we are not the independent, autonomous creatures that we arrogantly like to pretend that we are. And we've seen our connectedness and care in the wonderful work of the coronavirus volunteers, the Redbourn community group, volunteers at the vaccination centres, and from our neighbours and friends. May we cherish those relationships, and may our connectedness be something that remains long after the threat of COVID has receded. So the second word is outside. We've been forced out of our homes and our defences and outside into our gardens and parks and paths for fresh air and exercise. We've enjoyed the churchyard to worship, pray and play, and the common to meet friends, stretch our legs and hopefully avoid going stir crazy. We've discovered new footpaths on our doorstep, and we've been serenaded in all this by a magnificent melody of birdsong without such an obvious bass line from the aeroplanes and motorway. Nature's had some breathing space, and we have renewed appreciation for nature and the countryside that surrounds us. But as lockdown eases and we pick up on activities and opportunities, we must suffer no amnesia. COVID has been hard, and the effects on our lives and on society very painful at times. But all that will be as nothing compared to the looming environmental crisis that awaits us in the next 20 to 30 years if we don't make some major changes soon. The environmental disaster that awaits us will last a lifetime and not just a year or 2, and will bring a devastation, I'm afraid, that makes us long for COVID instead. We are destroying the very home that we live in, and there is no planet B. And my final word is empathy, perhaps one of the most important qualities for us to develop and hone and hold on to. Lockdown has looked and felt very different for each of us. Some have been run into the ground, never busier, and wondering how they can juggle all the demands on their time and emotion. Elderly parents, homeschooling young children, pushy bosses, furlough and job insecurity, no cleaner and no let up, stretched finances and none of the usual help and support to share the load. And then at the other end of the spectrum, the scale, people who have sat bored, unfulfilled, and without stimulation and company for months on end. Endless repeats on the telly and endless repeats to everyday life that they are living out. Some have been impatient for the easing. Others have lost confidence and may never regain the freedoms they had before. As we emerge from lockdown, we need to be attentive to all of these things and have empathy. We will emerge at a different pace and to a different place, and we need to be aware of all of that. So 3 words: connected, outside, empathy. COE. Oh, perhaps that is an acronym after all. Come on, England. Well, we'll have to see how they get on in their quarter-final on Saturday night. And we'll have to see what the coming announcements bring and what the journey out of lockdown will look like. But in the meantime, stay safe, stay connected, enjoy our outside spaces, and let's keep and cherish our care and empathy for others. I'd like to finish with a poem written last summer that rather nicely expresses some of what we've been through. It's called The Sounds of Lockdown by D. Allen. The empty silence of city streets, closed pubs that never call time, theatres missing their encores, singers cut off in their prime. Bird calls and tweets fill the air. Nature has full rein to breathe. As humans hunker down at home and grounded planes no longer leave. Joggers pound the pavements, shouting cyclists pedal by. The dance to keep our distance, cursing those who just won't try. The constant chatter of Zoom calls. Is your sound on, love? I can't see. Ooh, I like your snazzy wallpaper. Is there time for the loo or some tea? Clapping for carers on Thursdays. The welcome plop of the post. The beep, beep, beep of the bin men. Key workers we now praise most. The hiss and sizzle of the barbecue. Sunny days merged together as one. The loud smash of glass being recycled. We ask, when will lockdown be gone?
I literally don't have the words, Will. Absolutely brilliant. And I love the acronym.
Sorry about that.
Fantastic. I didn't see that. In fact, just before you said, I thought, I wonder what you could make of COE. Shows how slow I am, really. So well done. And it's been an absolute privilege to have you on the show all these months, Will. You've been brilliant. Thank you so much for all your wonderful contributions.
My absolute pleasure and privilege. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Will. Right, okay, moving on in this last ever episode. Will just mentioned there the wonderful work of the Redbourn community group, and the lovely Sally is out there waiting patiently for us. So Sally, can you come on stream?
Oh yes, good morning. Hello, I'm here.
Good morning, Sally, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. My Wi-Fi keeps going in and out, so hopefully I'll be here for the little duration that we need. So thank you. Thank you for inviting me back.
You're welcome. So I think you were just going to say a few words, Sally, about about the community group and about what you might have, any reflections that you've had during lockdown, or really over to you, whatever you want to say to us briefly. It's fine.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you. I think my brief was, as Will and Stuart Dyer, what have we learned during lockdown, which it's a very interesting question, and there isn't an easy answer, I don't think. So reflecting on what's happened over the past sort of 15 months, what we've accomplished, what we could have done better, it has actually helped us move forward. So my perception is that we've all learned to do things in a very different way, to adapt, to be flexible, and most of all to appreciate that people have very different ways of coping with day to day, especially in a lockdown. I took the opportunity to look back at the early newsletters, starting with the first one in April last year, and it really helped me to reflect not only on what happened, but how we dealt with things as a community and how we responded. However, it actually brought back those very real feelings of anxiety and how we honestly didn't know how we would cope and how things would pan out, as Will referred to. It was quite scary at the time, and still is to a certain extent. And I'll never forget that Saturday morning. It was a Saturday morning last March when I happened to look on Facebook and I saw Celine's coronavirus post.
Yeah.
And she wrote a very pertinent statement, and she said, "We do not want to look back in years to come and remember 2020 as the time we fought for toilet rolls in the supermarket aisle. We are much better than that, people. So let's pull together as a community." Well, we didn't always get it right, but I would suggest that we did pull together as a community, and we really do have something to be proud of. I think we demonstrated that we're a community in control. And I use that term deliberately because there was, and there still are, there's so much that we can't control, so much that's out of our control. And I think we have to learn, I do anyway, to let go of those things, because it really doesn't help your mental health to dwell on things that are out of your control. And by that I mean actions of others, whether others follow the guidance and the rules and trying to predict what will happen, for instance. So as a charity, we learn to focus on what we could control. So in other words, what we could do to help, services that we could provide. And it was, and it still is actually, about finding time for what's important and doing something about it if we can. I believe we've learned to be more flexible, to adapt and to have a greater understanding of people's circumstances. As a charity, we made time to listen and to talk and to think of others and think about how we could help. As a community, of course, as has been said, I think by and large Redbourn has come together. We have connected with each other, and there's many examples of that. One that always sticks in my mind are those children who created the cards and wrote letters, and they touched so many people, and many people wrote a letter in reply. These days a handwritten letter is quite a rare thing, actually. And I was very moved when one gentleman said that he'd placed the letter and the card in his special treasures box as it meant so much. So I think we've learned the importance of sort of keeping in touch, whether that's by phone or some technological means that we struggle with. We've tried hard to compensate, I think, for not bumping into each other, for not being out and about, because a cheery, newsy phone call from a real person does wonders. And many of us were quite guilty, I think, of forgetting to keep in touch prior to the pandemic. So I think we've learned to look out for each other. There's so many acts of kindness. I mean, I can't possibly name them all because many of them were from neighbours and friends who very discreetly gave the generosity of their time. There were, of course, the projects. We've had the hampers and the donations of electrical devices and many other collective, active acts of generosity, including, of course, the essential shopping, the calls, the deliveries, and on it goes. There's a very long list. So I think we've definitely learned to cope with change, and we've certainly become a bit more creative. I had the great pleasure of discussing knitting and crochet with Michael, who lives locally, and Olive, in fact, who's a great knitter. Many people have also played vital roles. We've had Carol, who's made the face masks, and she happened to raise a lot of money as well, which was super. Lots of other people have made scrubs and scrub bags, and we've had opportunities to explore our creative talents, I think, which is particularly important for our own well-being as well as for others. So to come back to the newsletters, I think they've provided an opportunity to sort of share stories, to hear about volunteers and to hear about individual members in our community. There's no doubt that it's a great privilege to be part of RCG because it provides an opportunity to have first-hand experiences of, well, what's important in life, what really matters, and what this community is all about. So on behalf of RCG, I'd really like to thank all the volunteers, all the supporters, all those who've donated, including those who've reached out, and definitely those who've stayed at home. Because I think Redbourn's got a great deal to be proud of. And I think most of all, we've learned a huge amount from each other. So thank you all for that opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Sally. RCG is a pretty good acronym itself, isn't it? Maybe it hasn't got the ring of COE, but it's a pretty good acronym.
It has, and I did try. I hate to admit it, but I did try to make it, and then I thought, no, don't bother. I just couldn't be bothered with it, so I just rambled on, as you can hear.
Well, it was lovely. Well, listen, Sally, thank you, obviously, for your contribution today and for all the wonderful work the community group has done and continues to do in the village. You know, we all value and support it, so thank you, and keep up the brilliant work.
Thank you very much for having me on. Thank you. Goodbye.
Right. Thank you, Sally. Okay, now I'm moving on to our wonderful founder and chair of Active in Redbourn, the extraordinarily lovely Ivan Hickmott. Good morning, Ivan.
The extraordinary and lovely, eh? What a word. What a word. Good morning.
I want to tee you up properly, really. So the floor is yours, Ivan.
Good morning, everybody. Just the last half an hour, we set up this final call as a call for reflections and learning from lockdown, and that's my brief, and I'm going to try and be brief because much of what I've would want to say has been covered more eloquently by those that have gone before me this morning, for which a big thank you. These are some personal thoughts, most of them garnered on my walks around the village with my 2 golden retrievers, and I'm left with being in a state of sort of mixed emotions and contradictions, and let me try and explain why. Living with COVID for the last, is it 16 months, whatever it is, I'm still stuck with the notion that it's a global problem. I think it was Will said that earlier. Yeah. It's a global issue. And I think sometimes in our sleepy corner, the lovely Redbourn, of which there's so much to be grateful for, we're at risk of forgetting it. And I think of some of the horrors that have unfolded in India and Brazil and the USA, much publicised over the last year or so. COVID won't be fixed for Redbourners until we fix the issue globally. So wonderful though we have a wonderful job that we've done for vaccinations in the UK, it won't be enough until we've vaccinated the rest of the planet, and therein lies our salvation, I think. So I just offer that thought as something to sit with. The second thing I wanted to say was I've always tried to see both sides of the argument, and as goodness knows there's been some controversy over the last year. I looked at the data yesterday which told us the numbers that have died so tragically in the last year in the UK. Depending on which number you believe, it's 123,000 or 150 something thousand. It's a big number. And I suddenly thought, and I checked it on Google this morning, the population of St Albans, Harpenden and the surrounding villages combined is 147,000. So COVID in the UK, as one way of looking at it, has obliterated our local population. And I can't help but feel that at some level, notwithstanding the success of the vaccination, that we've been let down by the people that govern us, and some of the leadership behaviours have just not been acceptable over the last year. If I flip to Redbourn, Will, Sally, Stuart have done a wonderful job this morning and covered much of the ground of what I wanted to say about the wonders of Redbourn and community spirit, which has been really heartening. So much of what we've seen locally has been the very best of human decency. Our community has responded in so many different ways, examples of which we've heard about this morning. On a personal basis, I'd like to think I notice a little bit more about what's happening around me, which includes the value of silence, includes noticing the sky emptied of EasyJets. It includes just noticing the birds. And I've gone quiet for a moment to listen to them in the garden outside. So in so many different ways, and again, I think Will said something a couple of weeks ago about acknowledging the value of a simple thank you. And I distinguish from a thank you that we often give to be polite from a genuine, authentic, sincere thank you. So I'd just like to say thank you to everyone for every little thing you've done to help somebody else in Redbourn over the last year. That's all I wanted to say, Simon.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ivan. Brilliant. And now, actually, moving swiftly sort of to Ivan's left, we have our wonderful producer and IT director. Olive, I don't quite know what you're saying today. Is it sort of a what's on, what's off, what's new, what's happening, what isn't happening type segment?
Well, yes, and I thought I would just have a quick thought about air and what happened to us when this lockdown first started. I mean, basically, we had a whole program of events for the year and we cancelled the lot. And that was March 2020. So my comment has always been all the way through this, we can't do what we plan to do, so what can we do? And so I was involved in coordinating the Live Well with Air online events, which we had never done before, but we could do those. And we learned a lot about using Facebook and Zoom online. And I would like to just say a big thanks to all our contributors, because we have now a library of 90 videos online. Wow. Available to anybody to use through YouTube, Facebook, and the website. And it goes from mindfulness to Pilates to yoga, even to dog training. So that's one for Will. and then we've also got 25 community calls and 23 community news bites. And that's an amazing resource. So if you're ever bored, then just take a look at those and see what you can do. And we learned a lot about using this stuff online, and we taught some other people as well, so it was all useful. And then I started thinking about, well, what's actually, hello, Teddy, what's actually come back online? And sorry, what's come back as available? And so much is coming back. We've got used, I think, to nothing being available locally in person. And I just went, hang on a minute, there's a lot available locally in person nowadays. And what I'm going to do is make up a page on activeinredbourne.co.uk. But I had a quick poll around. There's the Redbourn Village Hall, who's back to doing girl guiding, dance, martial arts, exercise, sports, arts and crafts. There's the Redbourn Parish Centre, who's doing karate, Pilates and yoga. And there's my dog's barking. There's the Redbourn Primary School, who's doing fitness. There's St Mary's, who's got 5 yoga groups going. And there is something going on in the Methodist Church, but I didn't manage to catch them. And of course, the wonderful Redbourn Players back to lockdown in Little Grimley. And of course, church services are coming back as well. So I mustn't forget those, looking at Will. And so I just think this is extraordinary. There is loads and loads of stuff coming back. And I think we ought to shift out of the habit of nothing is available locally, to just go out and find it. And of course, the sports centre will be back in due course.
Yeah.
And so that's all I had to say, really, is that it's a question of, when you're stuck in this situation, it's a question of, you can't do what you plan to do, but what is it you can do?
Wise words, Olive. Thank you very much. Right, we're nearing the end now. We're getting towards the end, and it's now time for the equally wonderfully lovely Rachel Mackey, whose idea it was, I think, to have Redbourn Recommends. I think I'm right in saying, Rachel, wasn't it? You had the idea several months ago.
I think so, yeah. I think we just thought it might be nice while people are doing a bit more reading of books or watching TV, as it might be, to actually share with others what they've been reading, what they've been watching. Because I know when we've talked informally, we've been sharing all those recommendations, and we thought, wouldn't it be great to share them with more people? So yeah, so we developed Redbourn Recommends, and I just wanted to say a big thank you to everyone who's taken the time to send in their voice recording once they've read something or watched something. We've had everything from dystopian novels to non-fiction books about childhood 50s toys. It's been absolutely fantastic to see the variety of things that people have been watching and reading during lockdown. And if you want to find those, I've posted most of those on the Active in Redbourn Facebook page, and I'll make sure they're all up there. So if you want to have a look through. So I was asked to choose my favourite one to play out today from all the selection. It was really, really difficult. I chose It's a Sin to repeat today, not only because it's a fantastic TV series, but also has a really, really important message. will listen to it. But I just think it's amazing to think how this is really, really recent history, and some of the, abhorrent treatment of those with HIV and AIDS. It just, it makes me wonder what's happening now that in 30 years' time we'll look back on with amazement. So June is, if you didn't know, Pride Month. The 28th of June celebrates Pride nationally. I think it's a good opportunity for us to think about and embrace differences and think about how we can celebrate them, particularly in Redbourn. Anyway, I'll let you play it. It's reviewed by Nick, not Mick, as it says on the slide. It's okay.
Hi, I'm Nick, and I have lived in Redbourn for just around 18 years, nearly 19, and I have been asked to do a recommendation for Redbourn Recommends, and I would like to highly recommend a series that's just recently been on Channel 4. It could be all 4, but you can catch it on all 4 anyway, and it's called It's a Sin, and it's set around the 80s and 90s during the AIDS crisis. And it follows a group of friends, 4 young gay men and their friend Jill, on their journey, living in London. And it follows them, and it's, I love the characters from the minute, on screen, absolutely, you fall in love with them. And really it's following them, and it shows just how, shocking the AIDS crisis was in the 80s and early 90s, and how these people were treated. The hospitals didn't know what to do with them, and they were locked away, seen as dirty, it was sinful. And it's, I feel it's really important that, we need to watch this stuff. It's, I was guilty of being, letting myself be swayed by the media, letting the media influence me during the AIDS crisis. And, I can reflect on that now. These issues are really important to me. I have a gay son, and, I thank, the Terence Higgins Trust, who brought the first treatment in 1997 into the UK for AIDS. And, people can live a very normal life now without contracting AIDS from HIV. Anyway, I thoroughly recommend the series. It really is grabby tissues, but you will fall in love with the characters. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing to watch, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. And I was going to say, clearly, please keep sending in your recommendations, but of course, in the nicest possible. And in fact, there's a thought, actually, maybe you could, I don't know whether you can still send your recommendations into our website or something, but obviously, as this is the last Newsbite, we won't be playing anymore. But anyway, Rachel, brilliant idea you had. Thank you so much for that. And what a great one to pick. I must confess, I haven't actually seen that one, so I'll have to watch that in due course once I've finished with all my bleak Russian novels. Okay, and now we're at the bit that many of you have been waiting for several weeks now. So if I can just get the another equally lovely David Howell in sort of the what do you call it, in
glorious Technicolor,
as the real as you, not as Tim Snatchup, just for one quick second, just to say, how are you doing?
Very well, Simon. Yeah, here we are.
And how's it, very quickly before we start this thing we all can't wait for, how's it been to get ready for this final episode?
Well, funnily enough, I thought when I gave myself a month to do it that I'd have plenty of time, and I still ended up leaving it quite late, because I tend to sort of create this situation and then don't know how I'm going to get myself out of it. So there were various storylines that came and went, but yeah, hopefully we've settled on one.
Oh, good stuff. And so just before we actually run it, which we can't wait to do, Little Grim, the play you're doing in the village, was it Little Grimly in lockdown? And that's still, I bought my tickets the other day. It all seems to be going well.
Yes, yes it is. That's Lockdown in Little Grimley. That's on at the Village Hall on the 22nd, 23rd and 24th of July. Tickets are on sale now. They're £5 each. They're available from Ashton's or by email through redbournplayers@gmail.com. But that's all set to go ahead. It will go ahead whether restrictions are lifted or not, because it's fully COVID secure. So the only difference is that it's we have to restrict capacity. We will be restricting capacity to 50% anyway, just to give people a bit more security, a bit more space. But the only thing is that it means masks and a reduced capacity, but it will happen. Super.
Okay, well, we can't put it off anymore, David. I'm going to give a very slight pause. You can turn into tea.
Well, Simon, I just wanted to say and join my fellow guests as well by saying on behalf of Redbourn Players a big thank you to you, Ivan and Olive, and all active in Redbourn, for giving us the opportunity on Newsbite at a time when, we had to cancel all our shows. We had no opportunities really to perform, and this has been a great opportunity for us. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome. We've all loved it. Okay, so this is nearly it. So slight pause, and then I'm going to read out what I need to read out, and then off we go. And now it is time to head over once again to the picturesque Hertfordshire village of St Mary's for the final nail-biting episode of our gripping, action-packed serial, The Snatch-Ups. When we left it last time, Stan and Brenda were in a caravan dangling precariously over the cliff edge of Beachy Head, where one wrong move could send them plummeting to a gruesome and horrible death.
Brenda, you said the earth moved for you last night. Well, you weren't kidding. There's been a landslide. The edge of the cliff has completely disappeared. Half the caravan is balanced precariously on the edge, and the other half is suspended in mid-air over a sheer 500-foot drop.
Oh, do you want me to come and have a look?
No! Whatever you do, stay exactly where you are.
What, sitting here on the toilet?
Yes, you mustn't move. We're balancing each other, me at one end and you at the other. The slightest motion could break the equilibrium and send us crashing 500 feet to our certain deaths.
Oh, Stan, I think I can feel it giving way. We could overbalance at any moment. What are we going to do?
Hang on a minute, Brenda. I think I've got an idea.
Well, if it's anything like your usual ideas, I might as well throw myself out of the window right now.
Well, I could try ringing for help.
There's no point. You know there's no signal out here. That's why we came. We didn't want anyone to find us. So, that's it. We're going to die alone with no one to come to our rescue.
Wait! I can hear a noise. It sounds like motorcycle engines.
Ooh. You're right. Someone's here. What a piece of luck. I wonder who it can be.
Dan, Brenda, are you in there?
Grandad, what are you doing here?
I was going to ask. Reapers were on our way to Brighton for a chat to get together, and we took a detour out here to admire the view. And it's lucky we did. You could overbalance at any moment. All it will take is for a seagull to land on the roof and it's good night, Vienna.
But do you think we don't know that? Well, don't just stand there. Get us out of here.
And hurry up, because my bottom's going numb.
Well, what we need is for a few of the lads to get into the caravan at this end to counterbalance it, and that will allow Brenda to make her way down to join us.
Are you sure? I don't like the sound of that.
It'll be fine. There's me, Mad Dog, Psycho and Grandad down this end now. That should be enough weight to make things safe.
Oh, thanks very much. What am I, the elephant in the room?
Look, just make your way slowly up here with no sudden movements.
Okay, but I want you to close your eyes as I don't want anyone seeing me in this nightie.
Okay, we'll all close our eyes. Now, come on, we haven't a moment to lose.
Oh, I'm not happy about this.
Oh, what's the problem now?
Well, they're wobbling all over the place.
It's all right, we can't see them. We've still got our eyes closed.
I meant the sides of the caravan.
It'll be all right. Just look straight ahead.
I'm nearly there, but you'll just have to wait while I put my dressing gown on.
For goodness sake, the rest of the cliff could go any second.
Oh, I've made it. You can open your eyes now. Let's get out of here.
Wait. We've all got to get out at exactly the same time, as otherwise the movement of one of us getting out will cause the caravan to teeter over the edge. Eh? So, ready? Now.
Oh, we made it. We're safe.
Oh, and just in time by the looks of things, as there goes the caravan.
Well, that was a lucky escape. I wonder what made it explode like that.
Oh, I just remembered. There was a gas canister in it after all. It was in the cupboard at the back.
You mean I had to eat cold baked beans for nothing?
Well, look on the bright side. If the canister had been under the cooker, the caravan would have plunged over the edge the moment the landslide happened.
Yeah, well, at least we're safe. Now, let's get out of here before anything else happens.
Not so fast. You stay exactly where you are and no one gets hurt.
Ron Bellamy of the nefarious Bellamy brothers.
And two of his minders with submachine guns.
What are you doing here?
I was about to ask you the same question. You see, I'm trying to retrieve a rather large sum of money that was recently stolen from me.
Well, why do you think that has anything to do with us?
Because the money was stolen by your Uncle Rodney. And we thought that you might be able to tell us where he is.
But how did you know where to find us?
Well, Psycho here tipped us off that Grandad was heading down this way, so we decided to follow.
Psycho, you traitor. I hope he paid you well.
We made it worth his while.
But Grandad didn't know we were here. He stumbled on us by chance.
Oh, then it's my lucky day, isn't it? So, I will ask you one last time. Where is Uncle Rodney?
We don't know, and even if we did, we wouldn't tell you.
Is that so?
Yes.
Well, I thought you might say that. So I took the liberty of kidnapping your children, Tim and Jane. Oh, just as a bargaining chip. My brother Reg is with them right now. So unless you want something rather nasty to happen to them, I suggest you tell me right now where Uncle Rodney is.
If we tell you, do you promise to let them go?
Yes.
And how do we know we can trust you?
Because I am a man of my word. Now you tell me where Uncle Rodney is, and I will let them go.
Okay.
Brenda, don't! How can you trust him? I can't believe you, of all people, would betray Rodney.
I have to, Stan, for the sake of the children. What choice do we have?
Oh, I'm so pleased that you've decided to see sense. So, I didn't quite catch what you said. He is where?
He was in the caravan.
What?
He was in the caravan. We got out, but Uncle Rodney didn't. He lost his footing and slipped, and the caravan went over the edge before any of us could do anything. He was caught in the explosion. He didn't stand a chance.
You expect me to believe that?
Yes.
So how do we know he was in the caravan?
Well, if you don't believe me, why don't you go down there and take a look?
Yeah, but what about the money?
What money?
The money he stole from me. Did he have it with him?
I don't know, but if he did, it's now all in a million pieces.
And as the money he stole from you was almost definitely stolen in the first place, then I'm sure you wouldn't want the police asking any difficult questions.
The police?
Yes, they'll be on their way right now. There's no way someone wouldn't have reported an explosion like that. And I'm not sure it would be sensible for someone with your reputation to be found at a scene like this. A man caught on CCTV stealing money from you, found in a burnt-out caravan at the bottom of a cliff with you, and 2 guns with submachine guns standing at the top of the cliff looking over the edge. It doesn't look good.
And when they go and question your brother, they find him holding Tim and Jane at gunpoint. That doesn't look good either.
Let's face it, Ron. The best thing you can do is leave before the police arrive. You've got your revenge. Uncle Rodney's dead. So why not just leave it there?
Yeah, all right, you win. I'll go. But don't you think I'm going to forget this? If I find out that you've been lying, your lives won't be worth living. Right, I'll phone Reg. Hello, Reg? Yeah, it's Ron. There's been a change of plan, Reg. I've tracked down Uncle Rodney, well, what's left of him, and it appears that he and our money have moved on to a better place. No, I do not mean the White Horse in Harpenden. I mean that he isn't going to be bothering us anymore. You can let the kids go now, Reg. We don't need them anymore. Right, bye. Right, we better go then. Psycho, I suggest you come with us. Something makes me think that you're not welcome here anymore.
Well, thank goodness they've gone. For a moment there, I thought we were in trouble.
Yes. What made you think to tell them that Uncle Rodney had gone over the cliff with the caravan? That was brilliant.
I don't know. I just thought of it on the spur of the moment, but it did the trick. The Bellamy brothers are now convinced that Uncle Rodney has perished, so they won't be going after him.
And they won't be coming after us again either. And they've let Tim and Jane go, so we're all in the clear.
Oh, I forgot about Tim and Jane. Oh, they must have been terrified and worried sick. We must get home to them immediately.
Yes, and we'll come with you to make sure you're all right. And also, I need to prepare for my tandem bungee jump with Phil Tibbs at the St Mary's Fun Day.
Then what are we waiting for?
Oh, Tim, Jane, are you all right? We've been so worried about you.
Well, being kidnapped and held at gunpoint wasn't exactly what I had planned for yesterday afternoon. But it was actually quite exciting. I mean, it was like being in an action movie.
But weren't you scared?
Me? Of course not.
Oh, don't you listen to him. He was terrified. If he'd known where you were, he'd have told them in the first 5 minutes.
Oh, says the girl who was only interested in saving herself. Oh, you don't need both of us. Why don't you let me go and just keep Tim here instead?
That's because it would have given me a chance to go to the police.
Oh, just stop it, both of you. We're so pleased you're safe.
But how come they let us go? Did you tell them where Uncle Rodney was?
No, we told them Uncle Rodney is plunged to his death in the caravan, and they believed us, so we're all out of danger.
Well, we might be, but Grandad isn't. He's currently at the top of a crane, 500 feet above the common, about to do a tangent bungee jump with Phil Tibbs.
Well, I hope he's got clean underwear on.
Yeah. Well, if he has, I'm sure it's only temporary.
Well, what are we waiting for? Let's get over there straight away.
It looks very high, rather him than me. I just hope they've tested that bungee cord properly.
I do hope he's going to be all right. I told him to put on an extra layer of fixodent. The last thing we need is someone getting injured by his false teeth falling out.
And Phil Tibbs doesn't look too sure either. It looks like he's praying. But that's got to be a good sign. I mean, even if Grandad isn't on the list, there's no way that God isn't going to save the vicar. So I'm sure everything will be all right.
Hold on. They're about to jump. Here they go.
Oh, they're falling so fast. Oh, my goodness. Grandad's trousers. Oh, they've been thrust down to his ankles.
Oh, it must have been the force of the wind. Thank goodness he's got his Yorkshire Cricket Club boxer shorts on.
They're going to hit the ground. No, they've pulled up 6 inches short. Phew, that was close.
Now they're bouncing up and down with Grandad frantically trying to get his trousers back in place.
Well, I don't think Mrs. Prodworthy's concerned. She's getting a right eyeful.
Well, at least they're down safely, and it's all in a good cause. They should be able to buy plenty of pumps now for Papua with the money they've raised.
Where's Tim going?
Oh, he's on in a minute. It's the first public outing for him and his band. They are the next act on the main stage.
Oh, I'd forgotten about that. What are they called again?
No refunds.
Sounds like he's got that right. Anyone listening to that racket's bound to want their money back.
Does that mean that Grandad has to go and play the drums straight after that hair-raising, trouser-lowering descent?
Yes, no rest for the wicked. There he goes, trousers back in place and a spring in his step.
He's amazing. But then we all are. If you think of everything that has happened to us this year, all the crises, all the ups and downs, and yet here we are, the snatch-ups, all together, stronger than ever.
And what better way to end than with some music? Knock 'em dead, Tim!
Take it away, Grandad. Hounds and Mary, we are no refund. If you like to gamble, I'll tell you I'm the man. You win some, lose some, all the same to me.
And sadly, with no refunds rocking the common in aid of Vegans for Climate Change, we must leave it there as the curtain comes down on the first series of the Snatch-Ups. Will there be more whippings going on at St Mary's? We'll just have to wait and see. And that's it. We hope that over the past months you've found these useful, interesting and enjoyable. Thank you to everyone who helped pull them together and contributed, and to all of you for zooming in. I was wondering what words to use for my final sign-off. When we finished the community call, you may remember I quoted the wonderful John Lennon. Again, continue the theme of self-indulgence. This time it seemed fitting to use the words of my favourite poet, Mr. John Keats, who signed off his last surviving letter, and I'm going to misquote him ever so slightly, because he said, "I can scarcely bid you goodbye, even in a Newsbite. I always made an awkward bow." Stay safe, everybody. Be nice to one another. Look out for future plans from Active in Redbourn as we continue our mission to make Redbourn the happiest and healthiest village in England. And wherever you are, Albion Cohen, rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you. Well done.
Thank you, everybody. Mario, Anne, Martin, Trevor, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.